It's weird, but not in a ha-ha weird, but in like a, if you told me this was Jared Leto's biopic, I would 1010% believe it, mostly because I hate the man, but he's got that culty vibe. And if this was like somebody's under-ass way of saying, hey, this is what he did, but I can't come out and fully say it without getting sued, but this is technically what Jared Leto did, I would believe it. Anyways, welcome back, and once again, thank you for trusting me with your full spoiler movie reviews. That thing I do where I watch movies, sometimes by myself in the theaters, because not one singular person bought a ticket to this, and then I tell you all about it. As always, I am unpaid and unsponsored, and spoilers. Spoilers, all the spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, you can go ahead and scroll. I won't be offended. Spoilers. Okay, here we go! This is the 2025 film from A24 called OPUS. If you're not familiar with the word opus, it is Latin. It means work, or a body of work. Here's the thing, I didn't originally read the entire description. All I saw was John Malkovich and Colt, and they had me in. But it also stars, and I don't know how to exactly pronounce her name, but I'm going to do my best, Io Adaberry, who's absolutely wonderful, by the way. Between her and John Malkovich, they are carrying this entire film on their backs. Like, if they weren't doing their job, this would just completely fall apart. But anyways, what's it about? Okay, so, John Malkovich was, like, the world's biggest rock star forever. And then he went into hiding for, like, 30 years. Like, I think he's supposed to be kind of like Elton John. But do y'all remember at the beginning of Love Actually, there's that rock star that everybody knows, and he's come out and he's making a Christmas album, and he's not very good at it, and it's like a whole thing? That's who he reminds me of. And then Miss Adaberry, her name in the movie is Ariel. Sorry, Meow Meow doesn't like me working while we snuggle. Anyway, she's a writer at a magazine, and she works there when she and her boss found out about the news that John Malkovich is coming back to make an album 30 years later, and it's like a super big deal. John Malkovich sent both of them and like a handful of other people these gift baskets full of like, it's a scented candle and this book on like meditation and the steps through meditation and an invitation to his like compoundy thing, and it's like a listening party for the new album, and it's like a super big deal. It's like getting the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Okay, everybody wants this, but only these few people in particular got it, like a personal invitation. They're like, yeah, let's go. They took his private plane. They got on the bus, which was like 4.5 hours. And this fucking compound is in the middle of the Badlands. It is somewhere out in the middle of the fucking plains of the USA. It's got bison. Anyways, they get to the gate of the compound and come to find out there are people so obsessed with this man and want a glimpse of him so bad that they were like sleeping in their cars outside of the gates. Well, then the van goes through the gates and it closes behind them, and then they get there and there's people all around this compound who are dressed the exact same. They're all in dark blue long sleeves. All the guys have beards. Everybody's hugging and painting and doing all sorts of stuff, and they're small children. How nobody thought this was a cult from the very beginning, I will never know. I do not claim to be smart, but I do know mostly what a cult looks like. I say I know what a cult looks like your stereotypical cult signals. I've seen the Heaven's Gates documentaries, okay? It's a compound in the middle of nowhere and everybody's dressed the same. We all know where this is heading. And he gave you a book on meditation, which should have been clue number fucking 1, even if they didn't open the book. Between that and the scented candle, it's like, oh, this is going to be some new age stuff. They're probably going to want us to do some ecstasy. Someone's going to be there with the singing bowls, which I'm not knocking the singing bowls. I don't know what they do. I would like to try that at one point, but I'm not here for the ecstasy. You get my point. All the signs were there and everybody ignored it. Actually, nobody actually opened up the meditation book except Ariel. Anyways, everybody has dinner together, and I mean, like, the whole compound are sitting, like, family style at these tables. They start dinner by passing around this loaf of bread that everybody has to take a bite off of. You know, it's mostly post-COVID when they can even attempt to make that scene. And then Ariel is sitting with another cult member at the table, and he used to be a music teacher, and he was doing something with John Malkovich's music. And then John Malkovich called him and invited him to come stay at the compound because he was liking what he was doing. And then everybody retires to their private bedrooms, or what they think is a private bedroom, because all of them have secret cameras inside of them, and record players with a new song from John Malkovich. And also their personal concierges make sure they don't leave their rooms at night. Except the one podcast guy. He signed up for one of their luxury massages. Well, then while he stays down on the massage table, we hear like a press drill, and they did something to him, but we never find out actually what that in particular was. But that'll come back around. I'll explain. The next day, Ariel goes for a jog, and she's looking around, and she talks to John Malkovich, and he takes her to this little like hut where this one guy is like opening a shitload of oysters, and they're looking for pearls to make the necklaces that they wear at the compound. And then she goes back, and the personal stylist or whatever comes to her room, and they're getting her dressed. And then they're like, do you have a full bush? And she's like, the fuck? They're like, yeah, John Malkovich likes a trimmed yet kind of wild bush. And she's like, is he gonna see it? And they're like, no, it's just a thing. Anybody who comes to see him has to have a wild yet trimmed bush. Then the stylist proceeds to trim the tree, so to speak. Then they go to this listening party, which is going really fucking wild because John Malkovich is like dressed like a spaceman. It's kind of giving David Bowie. It's actually giving a lot of David Bowie. It's kind of hot. But then the online influencer lady, she starts choking and stuff, and they take her to the quote-unquote infirmary. And then later that night, all the guests are together, and they were talking about something like the guy who went missing had a fallout with John Malkovich, like way down yonder, of something about John Malkovich's dog dying, and he had him taxidermied, and the guy who went missing thought it was weird, and this was like years ago. And I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to what they were saying because I was kind of bored at this point. But then the next day, Ariel like hops out of her room before her concierge could like fucking chase her down. And she's like running through, and she finds a whole room full of like taxidermied shit, including the body of the guy who went missing. Like, his body's there, but he ain't got a head. So, like, what the fuck was the drill for? Anyway, she's, like, freaking the hell out. And she's like, okay, it's time to fucking go. And they're like, well, the bus isn't here. It's not going to be here for 40 minutes. And then it's, like, a 50-mile drive. But once the bus gets back, you can get on there. It's going to take you to our private plane. It's going to take you home. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I'd get on their plane, but moving forward. One of the little girls that Ariel made friends with was like, we're putting on a puppet show and you promised you were going to be there. And Ariel was like, okay, I will sit here until the fucking bus comes and then we are going. Well, they go to this little room and it's got like really big beanbag chairs. And they're sitting through this play with taxidermied rats, which are the things of fucking nightmares. And it turns out to be about Billie Holiday and her getting arrested and being an addict. And then Ariel's beanbag chair starts moving and she freaks out. And you know what pops out? Surprise! It's the lady influencer that was having the coughing fit. Well, it turns out she was kind of sort of being poisoned. And now her face is all like swollen and she's slowly choking to death. So Ariel takes off running. They manage to kill all the other guests except Juliette Lewis. You think Ariel's gonna get away, but then she doesn't, and she wakes up tied to a chair with Juliette Lewis on the other side, and they're at this thing that kind of looks like the Jonestown, but instead of Kool-Aid, everybody's drinking champagne. Well, the stylist lady that trimmed her tree told her how to get the fuck out. So Ariel takes the fuck off running and gets to the gate, gets through the gate. She's trying to tell one of the guys that's obsessed with John Malkovich that, you know, we gotta go, we gotta get the fuck out. And he's like, I love him so much. So she, like, throat punches his ass and steals his car. Well, she brings the police back, and John Malkovich is sitting there playing the fucking grand piano. The other guests that were killed are all wrapped up and ready for show. Like, they're all dead and wrapped up, and so now they don't have to go find him or anything. They're just sitting right there. But everybody who was part of the cult is now missing. Presumed dead, but not actually dead. 2 years later, Ariel's written a book about it. She's getting a lot of publicity. John Malkovich has decided he wants to break his silence, so she goes to see him. And she's like, why the fuck did you do that? Something about left-brained people are now going to take over the world, and she helped do it. And now he's going to live forever because everybody's going to know about these murders or something to that effect. And she's like, well, where the fuck did your followers go? And he's like, they never died. They drank champagne. Now they're out in the world teaching our weird-ass religion. They are everywhere. And she's like, oh shit. So she's going to go on a talk show, and I think she's going to try to break the silence, but then she finds out the lady who's interviewing her is also part of the cult because she's wearing a weird pearl necklace. The end. Now, did I like it? I have no idea. This should be right up my alley, and I don't know, like, what is holding me back. Like, it's culty, but it's too obviously culty. Like, the menu, you didn't know it was going to be a cult until, like, it revealed itself. It didn't hit you with its cult dick. I'm going to give it, like, a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Okay, bye.